some anger
What were
too.
your biggest like emotional, because you're expressing it now, but like what would you say is the number one biggest physical and emotional challenge that you had throughout the recovery process?
Well, I was depressed. I can't say for sure when it started, but I was definitely depressed. And I tried to act like I wasn't. I mean, you probably remember I was trying to act like myself as much as possible, cracking jokes and just having fun and laughing, despite being, handicapped in a hospital bed. I just, I tried to be myself as much as I could, but I think, in doing that, I was kind of suppressing those emotions and not letting myself grieve the position I was in and what I lost. So that kind of got pushed to the side. That didn't really happen until much later. But that was the most difficult thing, I think, because that was kind of hanging over me. And I was trying to pretend like it wasn't there, like, like the elephant in the room. I was trying to pretend like, oh, it's gonna be fine, But like,
Um, I wanted to ask, like, what helped you with the depression? Like, what do you recommend, especially when someone's in that situation, you know firsthand the frustration that's like you just had this thing happen to you, you don't have control over what happened to you, and you have to basically work to get yourself back into a place where you're able to function again, and that frustration and
mhm.
anxiety that you were expressing sounds very overwhelming. So I can just imagine what you were going through around that time. In addition, your wife is pregnant. She just had, or she's having a baby, and during the recovery process, even still, even with the baby being born, I would imagine those first, few years was very challenging. So for right now, like where did you have any breakthroughs or turning points in your healing process? How did you overcome that the emotional challenges that you were dealing with? Um, and did the stroke affect your thinking, your mindset, your memory, or anything like that that made it difficult for you to overcome your emotional challenges and physical challenges?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a good answer or this might not be helpful, but for what literally happened to me was dealing with my emotions. I'm not good with dealing with my emotions, to be honest. And um, I don't really think I know anybody in my family or my side of the family that is good at that either. So, but what I have learned from my wife is that family support is so important, and that's really what got me through it. It's just having the support. And the biggest uh the biggest one who like really was there, who I'm gonna shout out now because my father-in-law Fernando came like a knight in shining armor, really to rescue both of us. I mean, I was going through that. I think it might be overlooked sometimes. That yeah, I had surgery and I'm doing that's dealing with the physical ailments, but like Veronica was right there next to me the whole time, feeling everything too. Like almost quite literally. She was suffering it just as much as I was, watching me day in and day out, um, battle the mental part of the whole challenge. And so really I would say that support of her family being, multiple people from both sides of my family came to visit and see, and that kind of energized me and like helped me, know that people are out there rooting for me and like, you have something to live for, this is not the end. You had it's definitely a big uh situation, like a challenge in the road of life on this journey, but like this is not the end. And that was the biggest part, because like Fernando came in like he had his doubts at the beginning, but like he never voiced them to me, talking to Veronica.
Mm.
And I think he just like anybody would look out for their daughter, like, what are you planning on doing? And like, what if he doesn't, make it through this or whatnot? And but that was short-lived, and he quickly was like, he was on, he just himself. He's was like all over the therapist and like telling them like, oh, what's the best thing for him, and kind of taking, this approach of like he needs the best care, he needs to get the best opportunities possible. And I remember him telling the therapist like, oh, because I think I missed an appointment one time. I was, supposed to like go for therapy at like let's say 8 o'clock or something
Mhm.
in the morning, and they came and told me like, oh, you missed the appointment, so you're not going to get that appointment today. And he was just like, no, he's gonna get that appointment. Like, it's not his fault. And like, I don't know what exactly happened, but he was like, I don't accept that. We need to find a way to get him in there. And like, and so having that support and people telling me like, you're gonna be able to do this. You're gonna be strong. The doctor that I had that I saw daily, that was kind of like the one who would check on me for a lot of, just daily to see how I was doing physically, mentally, checking how many meds I was taking. Like I was taking a lot of the strong, good stuff, like for pain. And
Yeah.
so, and I think she was I remember her like checking on me, like, so I noticed, you know, you usually take like two Percocet and you took three, you got three yesterday, which is fine. I'm just keeping an eye, but I just want to know what exactly you're feeling. And she was awesome. Like she was really great. Not because she was giving me drugs, but like she was very positive and optimistic, and she would tell me and reassure me all the time. Like every day, she'd tell me like, you're gonna be better, and you're gonna get stronger because I know it, and I
Right.
could see it in you." And like she was amazing. And so that was, I would include that in the support, but like people around you supporting you and uplifting you and telling you that you can do this was probably the best thing for me, being in that mental state of like depression. Because like I said earlier, I didn't really understand that I was. I look back now and I kind of see that, oh, that's what was, lying underneath. I was trying to hide with being myself as a jokester and like laughing and you know, kind of acting stupid sometimes, like waking up my uncle in the middle of the night and telling him that I want to go for a walk, help me get out of the bed. And yeah, it was a lot of anxiety too. But family, I don't know, I wouldn't have made it without Veronica. I would have gone to sleep that night and somebody would have found me dead in my apartment, wherever I was living at the time, because I would have just gone to sleep. So without her, I wouldn't even be here. And God, of course, but Um, the support is so needed. Family is the most important thing.
I was gonna say it sounds like you married into the right family then, because you got fighters.
Damn right, I hit the family jackpot.
I was
That
like,
was an
you
understatement.
got your father-in-law fighting for you, your wife is fighting for you. They're like, no, we do not accept this that you are telling us. We demand new information. We want results. I like it though. I love
Yeah,
it. And I love it because that is her personality when it comes down to it. And she knows and she believes in something, she's gonna go after it. And I remember
yeah,
her father having, I think that's one of the things that they have in common, which is why sometimes it's like you have two very, very strong personalities, but both of them have so much heart for who they care for that you want those strong
exactly.
personalities in your corner with something like this. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's a definite blessing that you have the right people in your corner to help you through this process. So, um, I know I had asked before, I should have separated the question actually, but how did now, when we got through the stroke and the recovery, what are the things that it affected that you're still dealing with now? Like, what things did it affect in terms of physical thinking, memory, speech, your sense of self? Like, what shifted within yourself now after recovery?
I lost the use of my left arm. I have some movement there, but it's not a lot. Nothing. What I usually say is I don't have functional movement in it because like I can't reach out and grab something. My hand stays closed from what they call spasticity. Like it's just whatever the damaged cell is in my brain is constantly sending a signal for my hand to close. And so, um, yeah, so I live one-handed now, and I've adapted to in many ways. So, on my left leg is, um, I can walk with or without a brace. I use the brace to walk a little faster, especially if I'm at work. But there's weakness in that leg. I don't have full movement in the ankle, and I also get spasms in that leg as well. Um, Visually, I lost a total of 50% of my visual field, mostly from the left side. So like the peripheral on the left, from the left eye, you can sneak up on me on my left side. I'm not gonna see you. If I look down at the table, I might have a fork or a drink on the left side right here, and I will not see it as if it literally doesn't exist if it's in that exact blind spot.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so that there was the visual effect, like the bleed was on the right side controls the left, left controls the right, and so everything is basically left sided for me that was affected. Um, I have little the sensation on the left side in general is a lot less. So like my left side, I don't feel it as much, except for when I could feel an itch sometimes, and I can't figure out exactly where it's itching, but I know it's itching somewhere. It's really weird, but there's a lot of nuance in the effect, what was affected, but that's basically the gist of it.
Wow. So, how has this changed the way that you live or what you value in your life?
Well, I since getting married, I would say I put family first. I didn't necessarily do that before. I kind of learned and adapted that from Veronica and the way that her family is. Um, that's definitely number one for me now. It wasn't before. I would say I definitely did put my job and working first, and that was my priority. And the stroke changed my view on that because it made me realize you can go at any day, any moment, and don't take it for granted. You know, tell the people you love that you love them and you care about them, and don't just tell them, but show them and live it like that because you don't know when God's going to call you and it's your time to go.
I know
So
that
definitely, yeah,
you were because you're talking about.
that's one of you.
I'm sorry. No, because you were talking about Veronica and the family thing. So would you how I wanted to elaborate on that a little more as well. Like how did it affect your relationship like with your wife? Like are you how did it I would say from what you're sharing, it sounds like it brought you guys a lot closer. Would that
Yes,
be right to say?
it did, yeah.
So it sounds like before this experience, you like valued more work, like really working and things like that. And after this experience, your value of family really heightened.
Yeah, yeah, because I saw them there for me, and you know, now living as a disabled person, um, you know, I qualify for the disability benefits, so I've been receiving that since I got out of the hospital, shortly after I got out of the hospital, and so I don't have to work full time anymore. I can't work full time anymore, but I get to spend more time. I don't have to work that full time job like I used to before and be at work 6 days a week, so I get to spend more time naturally. Um, and I value that. I tried to go back to working full time at one point, but then I realized it wasn't for me and I couldn't do it. But um, I try to see the silver lining as much as possible and try to be as optimistic as possible. And I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things that I do now and spend as much time as I do now with her and my son. I think there's a lot of things I wouldn't have seen or been there for my family if I didn't have the time like I do now.
Yeah, that's good.
And I don't know that, necessarily at this point that I would trade or go back and not have it happen to me and keep living the way we were living before. So
Wow, that's actually really profound to say. It's a very profound statement. Um, what what advice would you give to someone at the start of their stroke recovery based on your experiences?
definitely listen to the doctors to if you have to do physical recovery therapy rehab, listen to them and just keep an open mind. At the moment they might be telling you, oh, like, do this or do that, and you might be thinking, because I remember thinking myself, like, I remember the therapist telling me, like, oh, put your leg here, do this, and I remember thinking, like, I can't do that. What the heck? It was really hard, but push through and like try your best, give it your best shot, and don't give up. Don't just give up. You don't know your full potential until you realize, the things that you thought you couldn't do before, now you can do them. Like just getting dressed, you know, and taking care of yourself. We all probably take it for granted on a daily basis, and then when you wake up like me one day where a nurse or your wife has to help you get dressed because it's difficult to do one. You have to learn everything all over again. Luckily, I've always been right-handed, so I didn't have to learn. I actually recently met somebody who had something similar, had potentially lost the use of one arm from some other cause, but she was left-handed and she lost that, and she had to like learn how to do things with the opposite hand, which was her weaker hand. And so I didn't. That wasn't the case for me. So like seeing the silver lining in that situation, or that, or at least that aspect of it was something to like celebrate and like say, hey, I can write, I can do a lot of things still, and that's my strong hand, and it took a lot of time to adapt to certain things, but like definitely the therapists are there to help you. They're not there to just bug you and wake you up early in the morning to like do exercise that you don't want to do. They are generally there to help you. So like take advantage of the time that you have because when you're on the insurance's dime and they're actually paying, take advantage of that time, please. Because there's gonna be a time where you're gonna probably want to do more and the money's not gonna be there and insurance is not gonna pay forever. They're not gonna pay for you to go to rehab for 2 years because in their book you don't qualify for getting that much time or whatever, the case is. So definitely take advantage of the time.
Man, that was a very, very good overview of like the entire just from the beginning to where you're at now. And some of the things that really stood out to me was how much you value your family and that they were really there to support and just the challenges of really overcoming your own mindset and getting through the recovery. Um, what's one word that you would use to describe your life now?
Um, Fulfilling, I would say now.
And I have two more questions I want to ask just to kind of before we close it up. But what about one
Uh,
thing you'll never take for granted again?
um, Having my wife's support 100% and having her on my side and like yeah, having her support because I did almost lose it at one point. We went through a rough patch beforehand and thought, shit, I don't need her, and that was totally not the case. And I have her now, and just be grateful
God was like, "Are
if
you
you do
sure?"
have someone like that.
I said, God was like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
He was like, "Let's revisit that, Dan."
Yeah.
Oh man, what's one thing you're really proud of today?
Really proud of buying a house and having saved up the money for the down payment and just being responsible for with money, which Veronica is a tremendous help with my wife. She's a big help with that. But yeah, I'm really proud of that because there was a point in time where I didn't think or we didn't think it was possible. So,
Mhm. That's awesome. Man, well, this has been a really awesome time to really like recap over everything. I I want to ask, is there anything additional that we didn't touch on or that we didn't really get to share that you want to take this opportunity to throw out and share with your audience?
um, no, I think we covered it.
That sounds awesome. Well, one of the things that I do want to say is I'm actually extremely proud, really, really proud that you're starting this channel Beyond the Stroke. I think it's going to be a really big help for a lot of people just watching you. Like you just said, that you have no real feeling or anything like that in your left side, and yet you've got videos where you're pushing even that side of yourself in physical training, trying to make yourself stronger. Um, I think that's something to really to look at and take into account and be really proud of as well. And of course, just the fact that you have such a supportive and powerful family, and it sounds like God was a really big part of your journey and a really big part of what your family's foundation was throughout this experience as well. Um, I appreciate the opportunity to have gotten to ask questions and kind of help navigate. I've never done this before, so it was really awesome to be able to get to do this in this setting, especially with a friend. You and Veronica are like, well, Veronica's like my bestest friend. So you guys are
Yeah.
really an inspiration as a couple. The fortitude that you guys have together and the way that you guys really honor each other and back each other, and you expressed it so well in this interview where you were just really talking about her support and you honored her so much in this, where you're just like, look, I know that I couldn't have done this without her. So that was really, really
Mhm.
huge. And then the fact that you were able to push through depression, I think, is also a huge highlight for mental health, because there's a lot of people that deal with depression on a daily basis, and like you said, especially for men, don't know how to handle those emotional challenges. It can be very,
Mhm.
so just to know that having support around you can really ease those symptoms is very profound. And then there was also where you said, if if I could describe from an outside of how I see things, is like you're so blessed. Like the fact that you were like, I wouldn't have wanted to go back to the way things were before. it sounds like this experience, despite its challenges, has really blessed you and your family to have that time together, to have an opportunity to really um how do I want to say, not just appreciate, but really get to zone in your experiences on what you value, which is that time. You don't have to be at work 24/7. You're
Yeah.
able to actually be home with them. And that's something that before it was all about work. And now it's like, wow, I really get to sit here and cherish my family. And that is a very beautiful thing. So it's been wonderful to see that from the outside, to see that transition and that change, because I knew you guys before when that was going on, and then to see how close you are now,
Yeah.
how strong you are now with each other is very inspiring. Um, not just for strokes, but for marriage, and to see a man who is able to express, hey, I struggled with these emotions, I struggled in my marriage, I struggled in these things, but to see how you've overcome all that and you're willing to share it with the world is a huge inspiration. And I hope that people really value what you're giving them and really the see the possibilities, because you're opening the door and saying, hey, this is all very possible if you're able to put your focus there. So thank you so much for this opportunity and to be a part of this, and we look forward to seeing how things
I
continue.
really appreciate you doing it. Thank you.
Of course.